Carpe diem, my name is Ultranatic, and here's another Toll Drama vlog, going again over Toll Drama Island 2023. And the episode we're going over today is going to be the Launchback of Notre Dame. And I gotta tell you, as somebody who loves Disney's The Hunchback of Notre Dame, I made a whole review of it several years ago. If you're curious, you can go check that out. I think this pun title is really painful, like way too far a stretch. I don't know why anybody thought that would sound the least bit natural or funny. If you'd like an alternate title that I think would work a teensy bit better, I would suggest That Darn Catapult. See, that references a different Disney movie, but in a way that it still relates to this challenge pretty well, and I think it'd be a much more flowing pun to be giving, but that's probably the harshest thing I can possibly say about this episode, that I don't care for the title, because otherwise I love this. This whole episode, I love so much about it. Not just for the obvious. I mean, you've seen this thumbnail, you should know what I'm talking about. But for a lot of stuff outside of that. Let me just start with that. We have gotten very strong indications of Chef and Chris being much better people throughout this season. There's just so much evidence of that throughout it that I'm going to have to highlight most of it. It legit opens up in the recap with Chris going a teensy bit far for a second about his comments, and then Chef come in and say, hey, tone it down a little bit. And Chris is like, you're right, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have done that. Whatever therapist the two of you have been seeing between the end of Pakatu Island to now needs better reviews, because they did miracle work between you two. You are so much better characters, and we'll elaborate more on that throughout this vlog. After that, we open up in the kitchen, which is still burnt down from the last episode, and we see Priya and Millie bonding like great friends, which, again, I love that touch. I think y'all two do make great friends. And Millie reveals that she has a tragic backstory of being called a lot of really bad names in school, like nothing that would make you feel good, and I feel really bad about hearing that. Although I do find it kind of peculiar that, for those who didn't catch on to this, Millie's voice actress is the same voice actress who voices Zoe from Toll Drama Revenge of the Island and Toll Drama All-Stars. So the fact that both these characters have kind of a similar past like that is something that, intrigues me a little bit. I'm like, really? Okay, like maybe it's just suited for the actress. I don't know. But I'm not opposed. It's just something I thought was fairly intriguing. We see that Julia has lost, I'm going to make sure I get her name right in this vlog. Julia has lost 300,000 subscribers from her channel due to the incident in the last episode. Okay, if there's anything I do remark on, any kind of negative fashion here, most of it is like nitpicky kind of, hey, why did this happen? Why is that? It's not like stuff I objectively hate that much. But 300,000? Okay, first off, at the end of the last episode, we saw you had 3,000. So unless you had like 2 extra zeros initially and then it just suddenly dropped like a freaking safe from a plane, or something after that. I don't know how that's even possible. But 2, there are that many people who saw you give a verbal smackdown to a raptor and were like, cancel, we don't want her. How is that possible? I would so subscribe to that like instantly. Like, what sense does any of this make? I don't know, but all the same, because of this, Julia's like, I'm not gonna dwell on the past, or even this. If I'm going to be a bitch now, I'm going to 100% own it. And when she said that, my first thought was, good. Wait, is this going to be, like, really forced? Like, it's not going to feel the least bit natural? No, I'm surprisingly buying it completely. And maybe it's her confidence, because she then walks into the dining room. Bowie gives her, like, a snarky remark, and she hits him with a burrito, which is pretty funny. And then Ripper, who, again, no one likes, says, hey, you can't hit someone with their own burrito. And getting hit by his own burrito. I love everything about that. That was one so freaking harsh and villainous, and I loved it. Ripper's again being a dumbass, and he gets his comeuppance. Just the line, you can't hand them with their own burrito, sounds really funny. It kind of sounds like an innuendo, I'm going to be honest, but it's still a very funny innuendo, so I'll take it. Uh, as Julia is going through this, she also asks, who posted that video of me online? Maybe someone outside the show. Actually, I'm kind of amazed she didn't try to guess it was Bowie since he saw the incident. You never know, but she's like, she's going to try and find out for herself who posted it. And MK sarcastically says, does this mean you won't be blessing our morning burritos? Again, the voice kind of grates on me, but the writing, I don't know, it's on the roof right now. But the voice kind of grates on me, but the writing, top notch. They wrote MK's lines exquisitely. It's amazing. As everybody is then going, before everybody goes to challenge, there's an air horn that goes off, and okay, if you want my least favorite thing about the episode, aside from the title, it's probably one line we get from Ripper, shocker, where after the air horn goes off, he pretty much admits to having pooped his pants. Like, announce it to everybody, and I'm just like, why is this funny when Owen says it, but not him? Well, because Owen's likable. I might have gotten a little annoyed by Owen initially. I think that take aged kind of badly. But Ripper, I'm like, you would have... I'm not gonna lie. There's some part of me that feels like, was that an accident, or are you just that much a pig that you wouldn't mind having done that for real? I could buy either, to be honest, because he is like that much of a pig. Again, I'm happy he gets comeuppance most of the time. Otherwise, I would hate this guy so freaking much. Like, or so much more, I should say. I do hate him, but I hate him to a degree where the show understands that and works with that limitation. As the teams are headed to the challenge, we see the hockey bros running behind because they were trying to find these, quote, lucky beards, fake beards they wear so they can't grow real beards, and apparently that's good luck in hockey. I don't know sports, so I'll buy it. But, yeah, lucky beards, this is like the first time we've heard of this. Why would, where did any of this come from? That doesn't make any sense to me. But yeah, everybody else reveals that they also lost stuff, except for MK. Apparently she's stealing stuff, not even to sow discourse amongst our contestants, like, say, I'm trying to remember who else did that. I want to say Mal, I think it was the one who did Mal and Scott in previous seasons. No, I don't know if Mal did it, but Scott definitely did it. When they, it's not even for that reason. It's because she wants to sell this stuff online after the show. I'll admit, funny, but what? No, that doesn't really fly with me. I don't know why anybody's going to let her get away with that. Shouldn't the show be like, yeah, return that stuff, it's against the rules? I guess they don't care. I don't know. This show can be a piece of work sometimes. Again, I love it. I don't even hate that moment. It's just one of those things where, like, how does this make sense? They then get to the challenge where the challenge is called Stranger Flings. That also would have been a great name for this episode for so many reasons, especially since fling has a second meaning. It's not just, flinging from a catapult, but it's also, for relationships. I think you know what I'm referring to, but again, we'll get to that. Apparently, the teams are going to have to catapult each other through an obstacle course and try and hit targets that have different values on them. And the team gets the highest point total by the end of the challenge wins immunity, and the losing team has to send some people home. However, there's also penalty zones that you don't want to land into with a lot of giant, dangerous predators, which adds into the whole wacky, crazy, chaotic, used-to-be radioactive island thing that you'll hear more about this from me when I eventually get to Total Drama Revenge of the Island, but I love that aspect of that season because it's taking the premise of the show to the next level, at least in my opinion, but we'll get to that when I get to that, who knows how long from now. Now, Chase is scared of this challenge because apparently, despite doing a lot of dares on his YouTube account, this is the one dare that he's never done. Emma relishes that he's going to have to do it for once in this challenge. So he tries chickening out of it, but the chef and Chris are like, nope, everyone has to go at least once before anybody goes a second time. And that scares the crud out of Chase. Good. Again, don't risk your girlfriend's life by cutting her brakes. Apparently, Priya is kind of prepared for this. How is she so prepared for these kind of wacky scenarios? Did her parents train her for literally everything? I guess so, because apparently to prepare for the show, she was sent to catapult camp. As soon as she said that, my first thought was, who sends their kids to catapult camp? And then we get an actual confessional from Millie where she asks, like, almost verbatim the exact same question. I'm just like, I love this season because they're so self-aware about crazy, ridiculous stuff like this, and in a way that still balances out to make it really crazy and wacky and comedic. Like, more of that, please. Z accidentally flings Ripper from the catapult without even thinking about it. Z lands in the penalty zone. Again, for as unlikable as the guy is, they understand that he's the butt monkey. Keep piling on him. He deserves it. Julia tries taking a major leadership role within her team, and on one hand, you would argue maybe that's her being a little bit bossy, but honestly, I think she pulls it off pretty effectively, actually. Like, I buy her completely as the leader of this team. And she does have a gung-ho attitude because she's like, hey, I gotta win because I'm currently on the outs with everybody in this team, otherwise I'm gonna go home next. So, good strategy. I approve of that. Or, I mean, it's not a strategy, it's more like you have to do it, but either way, like, yeah, that's a good move. We see Priya send Millie through the catapult first and land in a point total that's like 3,000 points. Let's be honest. Every single person who takes this catapult jump is going to get a point on the casualty counter when I get to this, because bare minimum traction. Even if you land in the zones that have point totals on them, which are cushioned with mattresses, no, you're going to be injured somehow. And there's not a scratch on any of these people, so, like, ding, my leg, that kind of stuff. But at the same time, Millie has a lot of fun with this competition, and I like that, just breaking out of her shell a little bit because Priya is helping her get through a lot of this stuff. We see the Hockey Bros try going together, but Chef is like, that's unsafe, you gotta do it one at a time. Again, love that these chefs are actually trying to be, like, courteous chefs like that. Although, again, I don't think either of them would be safe individually either, so, like, what difference does it make? And the process of that, we see Raj and Bowie do a little bit more flirting. Again, that's adorable, I love it. And then Wayne accidentally lands in the penalty zone, which Emma had also fallen into, which is a bullpen, and he lands right on top of the bowl. What next? We see Julia land Raj too far from a high point total into a giant vat of tapioca pudding, which Bowie volunteers to go and save him from. Well, again, we're getting to what you want to in just a second. We then see Wayne gets thrown off the bowl from their target into a point total, which actually counts. And Priya's like, wait a minute, how is that fair? And Chef says he didn't actually land on the ground. So not fully in the pit. So, yeah, since he got thrown off and landed in the actual point total, it counts. And I'm like, I can work with that. That explanation makes total sense to me. So, kudos to the show for doing that. But, and even bigger kudos for what pops up pretty much right after. So, Bowie lands himself then in the tapioca pudding. Well, hold on. Not on purpose, because what he does actually first is go into a point total, and a very badass move bounces out from that into tapioca pudding to save Raj. By the way, there's sharks in the tapioca pudding. I don't think they can survive in that, so I don't know what sense that makes, but whatever, it's cartoon. And as soon as Bowie lands inside the pit, all the flailing around that Raj is doing stops. That's funny, like, you could swim just fine. He tries to get in a cramp. Were you just begging to be saved? I don't know, I just find that humorous. And then Raj kisses Bowie. That was precious. I'm gonna guess a lot of people, when they first saw that, deemed that as one of the best moments in all of Total Drama. Cold take. Me too. Like, I give a lot of hot take. No, that's not. I don't think this is a hot take. It's a cold take. Most people, unless you're just a jerk, are going to like that moment. And I gotta be honest, it's not just because I admire the progressivism of it. Like, I'm still amazed that the show is doing this in such a manner that I think is gonna make a lot of people feel really affirmed. Like, after that kiss happens even, which Wayne witnesses, Raj goes, that felt right. My heart melted when I heard that. I was like, you guys are being really thoughtful about this. This is a show where you often see people nude or have their breasts shown out. There's a lot of, like, crude humor throughout it, like catty fights and people, like, cheating on other people, and you have something this sweet and genuine, so perfectly built up, too. Like, everything about this was like, I've been hoping we get a moment like this, and we actually got it. And we hadn't got anything quite close to it before. Again, there's been leanings towards past contestants being gay, but we've never had, like, an outright gay kiss. And to see it here, with the execution that it had, I'd give it a 10 out of 10, but I can't. Because that score is too low. An 11, a 12, a 20. I don't know. It deserves higher than the perfect score, because this is like, I squeezed so hard when I saw that. Everything about that was so... I can't think of any other words aside from perfect. It's a perfect little moment in this episode, which has already been really winning me over in just about every other area. So, I'm happy we got it. I'm happy that Raj is finding himself as a person. But you do you, man. Yeah, I hope we get so much more out of these people. I hope we don't get some kind of BS breakup. I'm not saying that a breakup can't happen between them. I kind of hope that doesn't happen, though, because they're a great couple. But what I am thinking is, for all of you out there who liked Gwent and Dunkney's showmances, you saw how those devolved, right? Please don't give us some kind of BS stuff like this, please. If they're gonna break up, please have it be over some kind of natural reason or something. I don't know. Because otherwise, I want them to be together. Have them be like the new Jeff and Bridget. Like, they can go through some trials and tribulations or stuff like that, but Jeff and Bridget, I think Terry McGurran announced somewhere on Twitter that, nope, they're still together to this day. Good. I think they're a good match. Again, they've had their issues, but they worked through them. So, I'm totally for that. Please have something like that happen for Raj and Bowie, because they're amazing. Again, they're amazing individually, and they're amazing as a couple. So, I couldn't be happier for that. I love that moment so much. So much. Let me see if I want to use this as a thumbnail, because I do mean it. It's like everything about it. Like, I love this. Moving forward, Bowie then gets Raj out of that pit, and I'm not sure there's a reason for the Sharks to have been there at all, but whatever. Chase has his turn, by the way, on the catapult. I think it might have been before this moment, actually. And a funny thing with Chase is, as panicky as he is, he's kind of going back and forth between this. And I think that's really funny, because I'm like, I've never seen people panic quite like that before, but that is a really funny thing to have happen. And it comes down to the wire. The teams are off by only like 1,000 points between each other, and it then comes to the lightning round. Lightning. I had to. But now there's a 10,000 point target that's 10,000 feet away to get into, and the first team at 10,000 points wins the challenge. So the Ferocious Trout, who are behind in the challenge, are going to aim for that target, and they have to launch Z because he's the only person yet who hasn't taken a turn. That makes sense. I kind of figured it'd be Chase who'd be doing it, just given how the episode was kind of building up to that, but I mean, this works too. Whereas the Frog of Death realized, hey, we only need 3,000 points to win. We can get that a lot closer over here. Let's just try for that. But Julia is adamant and decides to just take a gamble and launches herself to that 10,000 point target alongside Z. Unfortunately, they both begin losing altitude before they can get to that target, and they have to try losing whatever weight they got. We got Z trying to get rid of some of the soda that he's drinking because he always has one on him. And we see Julia try to take out all the plethora of phones she has. I'm just going to assume the show gave up trying to confiscate them or something, because otherwise, how does she have this many phones? I don't know, but it's a funny little detail. And then Z does his ultimate ace in the hole by taking off his prosthetic leg and flinging it. At this point, Z, I think you're cool without it. I mean, if you absolutely need it, try and get it back, but you've saved your bacon with this team twice now by removing your prosthetic leg from the challenge. That is an incredible hack. If I could make Total Drama hack videos, I bet y'all want me to do those now. But if I could, I would use that. Because why not? Why ever not? I think that it would completely translate well, and yeah, that's a pretty good move. It allowed him to stay in the air. He goes through a lightning storm that they have to go through, and after he gets shot, has some kind of like high rainbow paletted fantasy. And I think at one point he says, "I've never been this high before." That's a lie, and you know it. I'm sure everyone was thinking that. But he does in fact land the 10,000 point target, winning the challenge for the ferocious trap. And so that means the Broncos just have to vote somebody out. They deliberate. It's pretty much between Julia and MK, but most people are laying towards Julia. For one, becoming a mega bitch all of a sudden, and two, because, well, she cost him the challenge. But then two things happen to turn the tides for her, and it's all because MK shot herself in the foot. First, she calls Julia a mulo. Don't know what that is? No one does, because MK made it up. If you're gonna screw people's heads, it's a pretty good way to do it. But then she also calls Julia butt knuckles, because that's an insult that Julia had used priorly in a confessional. To which Julia's like, wait a minute, that's my term. And I've never said outside this confessional. How would MK know that? Has she been filming our confessionals? Good train of thought to use. But she needs a little more proof than that to try and save her bacon. So to do so, she begins searching through the cabins, and she finds the stash that MK had of everyone else's stolen stuff, including her own. And as they get to the marshmallow ceremony, she shows it to everybody else, including her phone with the downloaded confessionals that MK had, which Bowie instantly takes and throws away so no one else can see stuff from it. Smart move. I don't think I mentioned this earlier, but Bowie, before he went to go save Raj, mentioned that he had also trained for the show, not just Priya. That makes sense for his character. And again, this is all feeding into him being a really good player in this game. But yeah, he throws it away so that nobody can have it, especially not Julia. And then he gets a little happy inside the confessional because he says, "Today wasn't all bad because I got kissed by a very fine boy." That is like, yeah, I can see that would definitely. That sounds like a really great moment. I just love Rajbo as a couple. I love their name too, Rajbo, because that's 2 layers away from rainbow, which so freaking fits everything about this. Of course, MK, upon the revelation that Julia has, tries saying, "Hey, wait a minute, you found this stuff, and that is your phone. Who really did all this stuff?" And of course, no one can buy it. Well, I guess that was all in vain. Julia's going home anyways. Only for her to say, "But wait, she saw all of you pooping." And that changed everybody's mind. Really? That was it? It's like, I don't know. I think what would have been, okay, I love this episode. I think the ending's a teensy bit clumsy. Not awful, just if you want to make sure MK goes home, like, why don't you do something like, well, wait a minute, if I stole this stuff, why would I steal my own stuff? And why is nothing stolen from you? And then that changes people's minds. I guess they wanted a little more toilet humor because, I don't know, a mandate or something, I don't know. But otherwise, yeah, that results in MK being the one who goes home. The episode ends. Yeah, so the only real complaints I have, again, title, I think is not very good. The ending, not terrible, just could maybe be reworked a little bit. And one comment from Ripper. That's it. But I love this episode. I love I love damn near everything else about it. Like, I really love damn near everything else about it. I love Chris and Chef just being, in general, much better people and much better hosts and much better characters. I think that Terry McGurran taking over is probably the best thing that could have happened to him. Like, again, I thought it was a teens a bit weird getting used to the new voice. Now I can't imagine anybody else doing it. Really? No, I push pretend. No, honestly, Terry, keep it. Keep this job. You've got this. You've got this show well under wraps. You got that. The challenge is fun, even if, again, I think everybody would die from it somehow. It gets incredibly exciting throughout much of it. The people you don't like get their comeuppance. And, of course, the first gay kiss that we've actually seen in total drama. Okay, not counting Noah and Cody, but they were asleep. Let's count this as, like, the first conscious kiss. And honestly, that does sort of help make it better, because does anybody genuinely ship Noah and Cody? I may have joked once or twice, I think, when Cody was wearing, like, lederhosen back in the Alps, but otherwise, did they really even talk much? No. So, I don't know. I'm not sure why I'd really ship him otherwise. With Raj and Bowie, they connect. They, like, laugh at each other's jokes and have beautiful, lovably messy moments between each other. So this being where it all leads to is so satisfying. I hope we get more good stuff out of them. I hope that, while I do think I call this my favorite episode right now, if they can somehow get top, that'd be amazing too, because that just means the show's just getting better and better and better. So who knows? If this was the best, though, I'd be totally okay with that too. Only time will tell if I like episodes after this one any more than that. And I will see you all in the next Total Drama vlog. Take care.